Some people get in a dither, trying to hold back the river. But what else could carry us hither? You can't stop the river. Some pull leaves from a twig, and some plant the seeds of a fig, and some keep all their arrows and quivers, and just watch as they flow down the river. You can't stop the river.
Hey VC, long time no see. Love the rhyme. But I'm back here, Crazy Jimmy. Got another Acid Archive entry. This will be number 24 from the second edition of the Acid Archives. Today I am really pleased to show this one. Huge album for me. I'm a huge Burt Bacharach, Beatles, Beach Boys guy, the 3Bs, and throw in Herb Alpert too if you want. But this is just a huge album for me that I've loved for a while now. This is Michael Farneti's Good Morning Kisses on Full Moon Records, and there's the back right there. And good old Michael, 1976. This was pressed. So the story behind this this private pressing is Michael had ordered, I believe, 1,000 copies to be pressed. And I think he said, he's only done a couple interviews, and I think he said in one of them that he used a Costa Rican plant, probably to save money, I would imagine. Ordered 1,000, ended up getting 500 copies, and of the 500 copies of the original from 76, a bunch were thrown out in frustration and a lack of storage. So, Michael had just didn't have enough room to house the records, and they weren't selling. So he ended up throwing out quite a few. He doesn't know how many he threw out, but based on how many have sold in the last 20 years, give or take, just looking in Popsike, and how many people claim to own a copy, and how many have sold on discogs, I'm going to guess there's probably less than 200 of these bad boys floating around, maybe even less. I can't imagine too many are left out there, given that roughly 500 were delivered, and he threw out quite a few. And then, of course, over the last 50 years, there's probably been, multiple copies that have been destroyed, lost, damaged, warped, whatever, ended up in the trash. So, probably between, 100 to 200 of these are in circulation, whether they're in people's homes or at thrift stores or wherever they may be right now. Not many, but this is, for me, this is a classic private pressing. This is like a top 10 private pressing for me, right up there with Stonewall's self-titled tax scam album, right up there with some of Richard Goldman's stuff, and of course several others. There's a lot of great private presses out there, but for me, this is great. I'm just such a huge Burt Bacharach fan, and a lot of people describe this as like an acid-drenched Bacharach meets Jim Morrison meets Scott Walker. So if you like those late 60s Scott Walker albums with kind of like a Jim Morrison vocal, not quite Jim Morrison, but close enough, and then Burt Bacharach, Herb Alpert type of chord changes and major sevenths, and really good piano work, and then mixed with this like found sounds, found sounds and a little bit of acid and psych thrown in for good measure. And some really unusual chord changes in some of these songs. You pretty much have this album. The lead track I sampled for you is called The River. It's the last song on side 2. And probably the song that has received the most spins. But I got to tell you, I love every song. There's 11 songs on this. I like 10 of the 11. There's only one misstep on here, and it's called Rock and Roll Candy. The reason it's on there is because he wanted to show that he can do different genres. There was no reason to put Rock and Roll Candy on here. Completely hurts the flow on side A. So good thing it's only a short song, couple minutes long. But this sucker leads off with Come to Europe, I'm sorry. And that, I mean, what a great song to lead off. First of all, when you first put the needle down, it sounds like the album is playing at like super slow speed, like I don't know what's half a third, like 16 RPM, and you're like, wait, what's going on here? It's pretty psychedelic, and then boom, it kicks into this crazy Barachian / Herb Alpert track with echo and delay on it, some echo and delay, and really incredible saxophone, or I think he plays the horns on it, and he double tracked the horns on this track, and it's so cool. He's not a great, he's good at it, but he's not the best, and so it comes across pretty cool. All this is wrapped up in a lo-fi haze, but Come to Europe is such a cool lead-off track, really catchy. You can literally dance to it. And then that leads into Movie Star, which is another great track that will bring to mind the best of Bacharach, and then the album takes like a left field, like a left turn into ESP Switch, which is about Michael wished he was able to like read people's minds and like flick a switch and have that ESP, and whether a girl is gonna or a woman's gonna like him or not before he approaches her on the beach. So he wishes he had that switch and that ability to read minds and avoid rejection. So. But really cool. He actually purchased an oscillator from Radio Shack. This is according to Michael in an interview. He picked one up at Radio Shack, plugged it into the line, into the amp, and feed into the I think he used an 8-track for this, and that's what you hear, that sound that people think it's a theremin. It's not. It's a Radio Shack oscillator that he picked up, so super, super cool. And then that leads into 19th Summer, which is so Beach Boys to me. It's got like a Beach Boys Bacharach type of vibe to the piano work and the chord changes. But there's certainly some odd changes in there, and there's even some found sounds. Sounds like maybe a seagull in there or something. I don't know. But super cool. And let me just point out, his 12-year-old brother does all the drumming on this album. And this guy is unbelievable. He's like a drumming god. Super good. And if you really want to hear his, how good of a drummer this guy is, 12 years old, check out In the Jungle on this album. My God. Michael said he put the drum track down first, and then he formed the whole song around the drum track because the drum track was just so amazing. But getting back to side A, ESP Switch in 19th Summer, like my favorite 1-2 punch. And then we hit Rock and Roll Candy, which is like a rock and roll rhythm and blues song. Not a fan of that, but some of you might be, so then you won't dislike it. But then that jumps into Good Morning Kisses to end side A, which is another great, vibe, Barachian vibe to it. And again, when I say Bacharach, this isn't what you think. This isn't like the clean pop of Bacharach. This has like a haze, like a psych acid haze to everything on this album. It's just really hard to explain. It's just the way he recorded it and the way he, the found sounds and the different instruments like the kazoo, the banjo, the horn section, the violin, which he plays all by himself. He does all that. He tracked everything himself. So if you think there's an orchestra on here, there's not. He used his siblings and his mother to do some backing vocals, which really add this mystique to it. It's hard to explain, but it's just so spooky, but and it adds this psych element to it. It's not what you think. It's not these boy-girl vocals. It's just a like a low-grade background harmony from women, and with his father in there as well, and just it's so cool. I can't explain it. But Good Morning Kisses is actually about when his parents were still in their honeymoon phase, like year 3 or 4 of their marriage, and the sense of security that he felt when he saw them kiss each other or kiss each other goodbye when Dad went to work, and that overwhelming sense of security that you get from parents who love each other. That's what Good Morning Kisses is about. Just so cool, because I know where he's coming from in that. I got the same feeling with my parents when they kissed and when they were all lovey-dovey. So that sense of security is there. So then side B starts with In Love Again, a killer bluegrass country song. Just so cool. But it's like Burt Bacharach does country, and what's cool about it is he chopped off the bottom end on it to give it like an old 1960s transistor radio sound. So really unique, and I love that effect. That transistor sound, that lo-fi transistor sound of the 60s. It actually sounds like the 30s. So shouldn't even say the 60s, but just so cool. And then that leads into In the Jungle, which has that drumming, that just, phenomenal drumming. This kid's 12 years old. I mean, his brother's 12 years old. It's just phenomenal drumming. And such a great track. And it has that really great, like esoteric vibe to it, like you would get from a Les Baxter album. So when you hear In the Jungle, you're literally going to feel like you're hearing a Les Baxter album that he would put out, those Exotica albums that were so cool back in the 60s and 50s and so forth. And that leads into New York Mugger, which is a pretty cool disc, like a acid disco track, which is neat. And then the last 2 tracks, Georgia Peaches, a good up-tempo ballad, and then River, which I played before I came on here, which is just, take the Carpenters, take Bacharach, take those major 7th chords that he puts in there, and it's just so amazing. This is my bag. Look, this isn't going to be everyone's bag. It's my bag. So here's the label. Good Morning Kisses. There. Pretty cool. So let's go ahead and read what they had to say here. Of course, this album was discovered by Paul Major. Who else? Who reached out to Michael Farneti to, first of all, tell him how incredible his album was, but also to get the ball rolling with Companion Records, who repressed this album, I think in 2011, and they pressed 500 of them. So those are out in circulation, out and about, but they're not that cheap either these days. But here it is. You got a nice picture of the album in here, so I'm thinking they probably liked it. But here we go. It's rated at a 3 in value. FL did the review. Who is FL? I like to find out who did the reviews. I know, isn't that weird? I'm sorry, Patrick Lumberg, PL. I don't have my glasses, so Patrick did the review. All right. Rhinestone and sequin disco balls, plastic palm trees, and wide lapelled bell-bottom polyester suits flash by as Michael Farneti takes the stage to deliver his disco and salsa-informed singer-songwriter pop. I love the plastic palm tree phrase there. That's so true. The era this album represents has been thoroughly buried by time, perhaps out of embarrassment. I disagree with that. But if one views the mid to late 70s as a period of wide possibilities for a happy-go-lucky local singer, then this is a time machine with major entertainment potential. It's all here. Glitzy, upscale Neil Diamond singer-songwriter moves, Broadway musical drama, Caribbean pop, after-hours whiskey and piano brooding, even a rootsy rock and roll track. Although a rich studio production with lots of keyboard, brass arrangements, and echo-laden female vocal harmonies, there is a homemade feel that is vital to the special magic of Good Morning Kisses. Couldn't agree more. The relationship lyrics are elaborate and occasionally a bit off-center, while Farneti's voice handles enthusiastic pop and reflective ballads with equal pizzazz. Barry Manilow's benign shadow looms large across this album. Only a handful of copies are known, but then again, only a handful of people in the world want it. Not true. Pressed in Costa Rica, where a large portion of the run was reportedly lost. Remember, the Love Boat TV series, this could be its lost soundtrack. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot to agree with there, but what's missing is the acid psych elements to this album. He got the echo-laden background vocals, which is absolutely the case, but this album has a vibe. This is not Barry Manilow, okay? Barry Manilow would have never done an album like this. This album has a vibe. It has found sounds. It has all kinds of instruments, including banjo, kazoo, brass, violin, cello. There's oscillators on it. It's just, there's piano, there's drums, there's bass. There's so much going on, and it's all really well done for a one-man show. He did everything himself except for the drumming, the banjo, and the background vocals. Everything else was done himself, and I believe he even included himself in the background vocals too. But, really a top-end private press acid archive edition for me. Good Morning Kisses. Do not sleep on this. I have the original, and I have the repress from Companion. The original sounds far, far better. The repress is very bottom end heavy, very muddy on the bottom end. The original press is more transparent. It's more analog. It's more open. It's got that tubey magic that I love. The repress, for whatever reason, it doesn't have it. So I don't know the story behind the repress. If Michael had the tapes and he gave the tapes to Companion, I have no idea. But whatever they did with the mix, it's okay. It's nice to have, for $50 to $75. But the original pressing is where it's at for sound quality. So if you can, you're a vinyl collector and you can pick up one of these when it comes around. Usually once a year, one will pop up. Do yourself a favor and get one. So that's it for today. More content to come. I will have a vinyl finds coming. I do have some stuff I've accumulated, so stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching. Please hit subscribe if you like what you're hearing and seeing. Please hit the notification bell. Please comment. Love to hear what you guys have to say. Thanks for watching. Crazy Jimmy's out.